Alrighty, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our very rare Friday night live stream. Over the course of this 2025 season, having conducted very many of these, but I'm glad to be here and, of course, talk all things fantasy football. After a very exciting Thursday night football game between the Rams and Seahawks last night, we continue on with Week 16 in our pursuit of trying to get one step closer to capturing a 2025 fantasy football championship. So, of course, we're going to be answering questions over the course of today's live stream. Again, there's been a lot of information that has been revealed over the course of the last 10 to 12 hours regarding injury reports and the availability of some players. Do not forget that tomorrow we have two games. First and foremost, we have the Eagles taking on the Washington Commanders, followed by the Green Bay Packers taking on the Chicago Bears. There are still a lot of unknowns in regards to the specific nature of whether or not Josh Jacobs is going to play. The most recent report that I have read says that he is leaning more doubtful rather than probable going into tomorrow. So for those of you guys who play in a league and there is the availability still of Emmanuel Wilson, do yourself the favor and pick him up. In the event in which Josh Jacobs was to theoretically miss tomorrow, there is a high likelihood in which, Emmanuel Wilson, like he is presented already earlier this season, would easily be a top 12 running back option against the Chicago Bears run stop efforts. So again, still a lot of value out there potentially. But in regards to today's live stream, quick and easy, just want to go ahead and answer questions for the next 45 to an hour. If you guys have any questions, whether you do send it in via the live chat and or via super chat, make sure you include your scoring format. It is greatly appreciated. Final thing I wanted to go over really quickly is some of the injury reports that were kind of designated earlier today. Okay, so the most recent things that we have to keep an eye on as we are preparing for this upcoming weekend. First and foremost, Drake London, who many of us thought may in fact play this week, was a DNP earlier today. Did not participate. Now, again, still up in the air. We're going to have to wait and see. Probably by tomorrow night, we'll have a clear indication as to his availability. But if it's like, hey, Andrew, I have Christian Watson who plays tomorrow, or I have to wait and see whether or not Drake London's available, unless we get any further information, a DNP on Friday prior to the game, very much so, is a little bit worrisome. In regards to some other injuries, of course, Jalen Thompson, Max Melton, two of the starting cornerbacks / secondary members of the Arizona Cardinals, going to be missing. That certainly does help London if, in fact, he ends up playing this week. But again, still to be determined on that situation. Matt Prater's not going to be playing. For those of you guys who may need a potential top 15 kicking option, if the likes of, let me just throw out some names here in regards to my kicker rankings. If the likes of a Brandon Aubrey, Cameron Dicker, Kaimi Fairbairn, Jake Bates, Eddie Pinheiro, Chase McLaughlin, Tyler Loop, Cam Little, Andy Borregales, Will Reichard, Michael Badgley, that would be the next best option. So I'm sure he may be out there and you may be in need of a kicker going into this weekend. Could be a solid option there, as I do anticipate for the Bills to absolutely ransack the Cleveland Browns within their upcoming contest ahead. In regards to some other potential news, I think somebody had asked earlier while the intro music was rolling, one of the starting offensive linemen of the Cleveland Browns is going to be back taking on the Bills. So we will see Wyatt Tiller out there, but Jack Conklin is going to be out, and so is Denzel Ward. That's the number one cornerback of that secondary being out. Certainly is going to help the potential of Josh Allen and the threats that are in that offense. Dalton Kincaid still up in the air as for his status. Other players, of course, we mentioned it yesterday. Luther Bird and Rome Odunze are going to be out. There's a reason why, a guy like DJ Moore is today's thumbnail. Of course, we have the availability of potentially Colston Loveland as a pickup and play this week. Other options, Woody Marks earlier today did get a limited participation to practice, which is very promising. Hopefully, Woody Marks can be available for the upcoming game as they do take on a very advantageous matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. Other potential injuries, Trent McDuffie's going to be missing. Rashee Rice, again, we talked about him for the last couple of days here. He has been designated out with the concussion protocol. Certainly does elevate the value of not only Travis Kelce, but effectively Xavier Worthy, maybe even Marquise Hollywood Brown. We know that Tyquan Thornton is also out for that offense. But again, when you have Gardner Minshew at quarterback, he's a gunslinger himself, so it should be an exciting game nonetheless. Outside of that, any other potential notables that we aren't aware of? We're all aware that Devin Neal and Alvin Kamara are not going to play this week. Ricky Pearsall didn't practice today. If anything else comes to light over the course of the next 24 hours, of course, I'll mention it tomorrow, but otherwise everything's looking pretty solid. Okay, with this all covered, let's go ahead and let's get into answering questions. I appreciate y'all being patient with me, but let's go ahead and let's get into some of these super chats that were sent in. We begin with Zobu, who says in the following. Zobu, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it, my man. Actually, what I need to do is probably adjust this accordingly and then just chop the top side. Perfect. Okay. Zobu says, hi, Andrew. Question. Need one running back and one flex in a full PPR with Rico Dowdle, Woody Marks, Audric Estime, DJ Moore, and Michael Wilson. Okay, this is a great question. I think in a full PPR scoring format, there's a couple of factors here. I believe that Michael Wilson has to be that flex play in a full PPR based on the words specifically mentioned by Marvin Harrison earlier today. He said that he was good enough to go. So he's not at 100% as of yet. I think the organization knows that, and I think the organization is probably going to continue to maintain Michael Wilson as the primary target getter of that offense outside of Trey McBride. So I think Michael Wilson has to play there. Now, again, even though DJ Moore is a great play, I still think that the matchup against the number 2 wide receiver matchup, Atlanta, who's been torched in their secondary of late, we've got to play Michael Wilson. And then in regards to the potential RB play, in the event in which Woody Marks ends up being active on Sunday, I would feel very comfortable playing him against the Raiders. That's a top 5 matchup. No questions asked. Woody Marks would be in my lineup. In the event in which he trends towards out and is in fact out, I'd play Rico Dowdle there as your RB. Thank you, Zobu. As for your next question, Kansas City defense or New Orleans, I'd prefer to play the New Orleans Saints defense this week. Again, I do think that the Kansas City defense is going to be a top 10 option, but in comparison, I do think that New Orleans' defense is set up for a far more potential for success when you're taking on a guy like Brady Cook at quarterback. So I'll go New Orleans there. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Let's see. This is Carolina Nurse. I can just tell from the picture. The name has changed, but this is Carolina Nurse. Says Warren or Kelsey, or swap one for DeAndre Swift. When you say Warren, do you mean Jalen Warren or do you mean Tyler Warren? Because I think that is the determining factor. In the event in which it should, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think regardless of which Warren we're talking about here, whether it is the running back or the tight end, I would prefer to play DeAndre Swift alongside of Travis Kelsey in the given matchup. Thank you. Flotation, what's up, brother? It says Cord, final thoughts on starter set for the team. Yeah, let me go ahead and give it a look real quick, brother. Thank you. All right, so let's pull this up. I see you just sent me a message. Hopefully this can load on my phone. It says I don't know why it's not loading. Is my internet a little wonky right now? My internet might be a little wonky. Once that loads on my phone, I'll go ahead and I'll give you my thoughts. Thank you. All right, Nasty, what's up, brother? It says full PPR. Start DJ Moore, Kyle Monangai if Swift is out, which he's probably not going to be. Abuka or Michael Carter. In a full PPR scoring format, in the event in which Swift was out, yes, I would play Kyle Monangai. But as I'm assuming he is not going to be out and Swift will probably be playing this week, I would lean in the direction of trying to play DJ Moore here. Out of the available options. I think, again, Abuka has a lot of target competition. Michael Carter is still going to be a very solid play, but in the absence of Luther Burden and Rome Odunze, DJ Moore's value is that much more pronounced based on the volume of opportunity that he should see. Says, what is that even? Is that even a word? Okay, you meant I'm projected. I'm projected to win 148 to 117 with Moore in, but he's so inconsistent. Yeah, he's been inconsistent, but you have to remember he's also had himself a lot of target competition, right? Over the course of the year, it has been the Rome Odunze show, and then effectively they have tried to get more utilization out of Luther Burden, as they probably aren't looking to potentially keep DJ Moore next season based on his contract and his age and all that kind of jazz. So as they're more or less working towards the future, DJ Moore has been an inconsistent option because of the lack of opportunity, but I think that opportunity share will increase mightily in the absence of those options. Okay, so let's go back up here. We had a question from Flotation who sent in a couple screenshots. Says, a lot going on injury-wise. Not sure if Marks or Higgins will play. Really? Is Higgins still in question? I'm pretty sure Higgins wasn't on the injury report. Let me go ahead and let me give it a look myself for the Cincinnati Bengals here. So Higgins, as of today, practiced in full participation. So I would assume that because of that, that means that he is going to clear the concussion protocol. It'll probably be designated by tomorrow that is in fact going to take place. So in your case, looking at what you have available, the way that I would set it up here is in the event in which, okay, so obviously you're playing Josh Allen. You've already played Kyron Williams. If Woody Marks is active, I would play him over Aaron Jones at RB2. Then I would proceed to play Amon-Ra, T. Higgins, Olave, and DJ Moore as my 3 wide receivers in flex, and I would leave Aaron Jones on the bench. And then obviously we're going to keep with Mark Andrews there, and then Jackson Dart is your super flex. Texans is your defense. You're good to go. So that's the way in which I go about it. In the event in which Woody Marks is not available, then of course we'll play Aaron Jones in his stead, but I would anticipate to see the availability of T. Higgins. So try to play T. Higgins and DJ Moore like we talked about earlier today in this circumstance as your 3 wide receiver, 1 flex format. Thank you. All right, moving on to Steven Drake's 7793 says, just checking to see if you still rank Burrow over Prescott this week. And I need 3, please. Yeah, as of this current moment, I am still confident in the idea of going Burrow over Prescott. What scares me about Prescott is primarily the fact that that Los Angeles Chargers defense is as elite as it's gotten as of late. They have really been shutting down opposing offenses. So in this current circumstance, I feel pretty confident trying to just play it safe, take Burrow there against the struggling Miami team who will be functioning with a 3rd-string starting quarterback there. I'd like to hope and assume that the return of T. Higgins would at least make Joe Burrow a 200, 300 passing yard guy, 2 passing touchdowns, if not 3. If you believe that Dak Prescott is capable of accomplishing exactly that, then play him this week. It says, and I need 3, please, in a half PPR, Michael Wilson, Tetairoa McMillan, Emeka Ibuka, and Jalen Coker. Yeah, I have to play my studs. And in this case, I'm playing Wilson, Ibuka, and Tetairoa McMillan. Coker's the odd man out. Thank you. All right, we move on to a question that comes in from Dennis. Dennis, thank you very much. It says, pick 2, Devontae Smith, Wando Robinson, Jaden Reed, and A.D. Mitchell. In the event in which Christian Watson was inactive, I would only at that point play Jaden Reed. Otherwise, I believe your top 2 options for this week would be Devontae Smith and Wando Robinson as we approach. I think the overall lack of consistency we've seen from the Devontae Smith is certainly something of a concern. But when you're taking on the Washington Commanders secondary that can't stop a soul at the wide receiver position, and of course opposing quarterbacks have torched them of late, I'd feel pretty confident rolling in that direction. Wanda Robinson's obviously also himself relatively sketchy, but his opportunity share is far too valuable. And if you're playing in a full PPR, that reception count is what I'm chasing after. Thank you, Dennis. JV, what's up, brother? Says, I need 1 in the flex in a full PPR. We have Waddle, Judkins, and Tetairoa. Of these available, I'm going Tetairoa McMillan. I think Judkins is still going to find himself struggling in terms of running the football. Amongst all running backs in the National Football League, he has the highest percentage this season of being stuffed behind the line of scrimmage. Again, the offensive line play has not been great. It's still not at a full 100% healthy rate. So that in itself, very much so concerning. And then when we have Quinn Ewers at quarterback playing with Jalen Waddle, I don't know if I can trust Quinn Ewers blindly. Of course, he is a talented player. He's in the National Football League, but he's also a 3rd-string quarterback, and that's not by accident. I'd rather have Tetairoa McMillan taking on that Tampa Bay defense. Then we move on to Remuse. I don't even know. Rem. We're going to call you Remu. That's how we'll go about this. It says Dart versus Stroud. Okay, so I think it's relatively close. I know that... Okay, so here's the thing. Flores, the defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings, has a really good track record against opposing rookie quarterbacks. That is first and foremost. That concerns me, especially when we have the possibility of CJ Stroud, who could very easily just decimate this Vegas Raiders defense and impose it as well, right? So the only thing that really ever excites me about Jackson Dart is rushing upside. If he's going to run the ball and have the potential of 60-odd rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, the 12 points that he would get as an influx there is so incredibly vital to the grand scheme here that it could end up making him significantly more valuable than Stroud. So initially, just off of rushing stats in a 4-point per passing touchdown league, I lean towards Dart, and I'll probably go about it the same way tomorrow with my rankings. But if you want to play it safe, you can certainly try to get like 225 yards and 2 tutties out of Stroud and very easily have like a 16 to 18 point week here and just, fade out into the sunset. Fingers crossed. If any more upside is to happen, whether it's rushing or passing, fantastic. But I think Stroud is the more safe option that has a little bit less upside comparatively. Sutton or Pickens, that's a really interesting one. I think, technically speaking, if you want to play the studs that got you here, you play Pickens and you don't get cute with it. So that's probably the direction I go with. Again, over the course of this week, I've gone back and forth a couple times regarding this on my own end, just adjusting rankings. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that I just don't want to get cute with it. Even in a tough matchup against the Chargers, I'd rather roll with Pickens in this circumstance. Theo Johnson or Brenton Strange. I'd prefer to go with Bretton Strange in this circumstance. Again, the Denver Broncos are the third best matchup at the tight end position. Over the course of the last 3 games itself, they have been absolutely decimated by opposing tight ends. So while BTJ, Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, and Travis Etienne may have their hands full with the elite nature of that defense, I think what Bretton Strange could theoretically provide, which he hasn't as of late in the recent weeks, is going to be a security blanket threat that could see himself an uptick of opportunity. Again, I mentioned it earlier this week. The recent performances we've seen from tight ends against the Denver Broncos, just as last week, Green Bay's tight ends had 7 catches for 70 yards. And since Tucker Kraft went down, there hasn't been anything close to that kind of production. The week prior, Las Vegas, 6 for 63 and a touchdown. Washington, 12 for 115. Kansas City, 12 for 101. Houston, 7 for 79. I think we could have a huge game here from the hands of Bretton Strange as of this week. Daniel Barnes, what's up, brother? Says, if Jacobs is out, do I flex Terry McLaurin or Emmanuel Wilson? You play Emmanuel Wilson. Might I remind everyone, Emmanuel Wilson this season, again, when he was given opportunity recently to be the starting running back of the organization in the absence of Josh Jacobs, back in week 12 against Minnesota, had 28 rushing attempts for 107 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 receptions for 18 receiving yards, 25.5 half PPR fantasy points. The production at which Wilson could theoretically put forth is substantial. I've talked about it ad nauseum over the course of this season, or over the course of the last 3 seasons. Anytime Emmanuel Wilson has been given 10 plus touches, the guy's been absolutely incredibly efficient, whether it's on the ground, through the air. And of course, we all know that Green Bay Packers running backs, especially Josh Jacobs, scoring a touchdown in 19 of the last 21 games. It's an automatic for him to find the end zone. Now, the issue is with your situation, Daniel, is that Josh Jacobs doesn't play until tomorrow night, and Terry McLaurin plays tomorrow afternoon. So you may not have information regarding the status of Josh Jacobs until earlier, like maybe prior to the game starting. Maybe he wants to see if he can give it a go and may warm up prior to the game. So if we don't get word as to whether or not Jacobs is going to be in or out by the time we are looking at Terry McLaurin fired up tomorrow against Philly at 2 p.m. PST, then at that point you have to make the decision of just playing Terry or pivoting to maybe another option in the case in which Emmanuel Wilson doesn't end up taking the spot of Jacobs. J. Will, 2687, sends in a question. J. Will, thank you. BTJ or McConkey in a non-PPR, happy birthday. Thank you very much. Look, as of this moment, I don't know if I can trust to play BTJ against Patrick Surtain with the lack of opportunity that he has seen. I understand he's coming off of his best game in quite a while, obviously, because of course he was dealing with injury a couple weeks ago. My biggest concern revolves around the matchup itself in comparison to having to take on, that secondary for the Dallas Cowboys, who also this week don't have Deron Bland. I feel like it's a advantageous enough position to where I have to go McConkey. Ibrahim, what's up, brother? How's it going? Ibrahim says, silly question in Patreon, but you can answer. But can you answer, brother? Yeah, of course. Let me go ahead and open up real quick here and see if I can find it. Where are you at, Ibrahim? Ibrahim, here we go. Ibrahim says, Andrew, nervous about Kobe. Please be honest with the chances this week. Okay, but this is a different question. That's already gone. What's your question here, brother? Oh, is this the question? Just Hampton or Estime? I think this is probably what you're asking. Okay, so in the case of these 2.5 PPR, okay, so conventional wisdom would tell you to just play the stud, which is Hampton, which is kind of where I'm thinking I might end up landing by the end of it all. I do understand that Audric Estime could be of more value, but here's the issue that I have. I know what I'm going to get out of Hampton in terms of his total workload. I can guesstimate or project what I'm going to see out of Estime, but it doesn't mean that it's going to stick. So to be safe, I think I just play Hampton in that case, Ibrahim. Thank you. Let's see here. We had a question from Precision Building. What's up, brother? All right, Precision says in a half PPR, I need 2 wide receivers. We have Emeka Ibuka, Chris Godwin, Xavier Worthy, and Jalen Coker. Ooh, okay. So in this circumstance, I don't know if I'm willing to split the Tampa Bay receivers. I feel like playing Emeka Ibuka and Chris Godwin is like kind of very similar to the idea of playing both Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. I feel like personally, I'd feel more confident rolling both of those Tampa Bay receivers than trying to hope that Xavier Worthy can get the job done with Gardner Minshew. It's possible. It's within the realm of possibility. Xavier Worthy is going to be a top 36 ranked receiver, but I will have Emeka Egbuka and Godwin both effectively ranked higher because of the Carolina matchup. So I'll take both those receivers over him. Thank you. And of course, over Coker. Let's see here. Sean Howard. What's up, brother? It says Loveland or Fannin. Yeah, as of right now, there's a little bit of a... Okay, so there's a toss-up here. Fannin, this week, there's no David Njoku, which is very positive. I believe that has been designated. Let me go ahead and confirm that is in fact the case. Let me go to my injury report list here. So when we look at David Njoku, yeah, he is... wait, am I mistaken? David Njoku? He doesn't have a designation. I believe he's out. Yeah, there it is. 3 hours ago, David Njoku won't play. Cool. Okay, so I'm just wanted to make sure that was in fact the case. With David Njoku out, I mean, the last 2 weeks, Harold Fannin has had, like a 30% target share over, 25 targets. The volume of opportunity that he has been distributed, I think, is a little bit too much for me to pass up on that opportunity to play him. So in comparison to Loveland, who he himself is going to get a pretty decent volume in the absence of Burden and Adunze, I still think that Fannin is the preferable play in a full PPR. Gabriel, what's up, brother? Says tight end Henry, Waller, or Schultz. I'm going Schultz in this case. Especially if it's a full PPR scoring format, I believe that is the appropriate play. I think that Schultz, his opportunity share, the fact that he has had 6+ receptions in 6 of the last 9 games, and the fact that, again, they're taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, I think everything kind of... Not everything exactly is in his kind of favor comparatively to Henry and Waller. Obviously, Waller certainly has an incredible matchup, the number one at the position. But man, Quinn Ewers is just a toss-up. I don't know if I can outright blindly trust it. So I'll go Schultz 1, I'll go Waller 2, I'll go Henry 3. Then in regards to your other question, it says Flex Mason, I'm assuming is Jordan. Michael Carter, Jaden Reed, and Jordan Addison. I would only ever play Jaden Reed in this case if Christian Watson was out. Otherwise, I believe that Michael Carter is the most appropriate play here, Gabriel. Thank you. Blazin 540 says pick 1. We have Burrow with Higgins in or Lamar. Between the two of them, again, I'm going to have them back-to-back probably by tomorrow as well. But I'll lean towards Burrow under the assumption that Higgins is back. Flex 1, Harvey, Carter, Shakir, Coker. I'll take RJ Harvey. He practiced fully all week long. I'm confident that he's going to be healthy and contributing against the Jacksonville Jaguars matchup here this week. It says, worried recent comments by Peyton wanting to get more touches will result in a split. Yeah, I mean, I think that they want to do that only to kind of keep Harvey protected. Again, they're on their way to the Super Bowl. That's where their eyes are locked in on. So obviously they're trying to not only get the number 1 seed in the AFC, but they want to make sure that everyone's healthy. So they may consider getting some more utilization in terms of from, Jaleel McLaughlin, etc., to get some touches there to protect Harvey. But I think in the grand scheme, he is still going to be the priority number 1 by far and away. It says Waller with Tua, benched, or Tyler Warren. I'll probably go back and forth on this for quite a while. Right now, do I trust Quinn Ewers or do I trust Phillip Rivers? That's the question. And I think that's the question you almost have to answer to yourself as well. Personally, I think I'd rather trust Phillip Rivers in this case. I've kind of earlier this week settled on the idea that, on Thursday I was like, yeah, it's going to be Waller. I think I'm pretty comfortable with that. But now that I've kind of thought about it over and over again, Quinn Ewers scares the shit out of me. And that in itself isn't the greatest overall position to be in right now. So again, I'll probably go back and forth on it, but as of this current moment, as you have me today, I'll go with Tyler Warren. All right, Tyler Sperry sends in a question. Says up 40, Schultz or Loveland? I will probably lean in the direction of Loveland in a half PPR and Schultz in a full PPR. Thank you. Reed or Devontae Smith? I'd only ever play Reed there if Christian Watson was out. Otherwise, Devontae Smith is my start. Thank you. Hardscope, what's up? Says Burrow, Nix, or JJ. I prefer to play Burrow number 1, Nix 2, and JJ McCarthy 3. Theo or Strange, I'll take Bretton Strange there. Pick 3 between Higgins, Etienne, Evans, and Olave. I think you've got incredible options across the board. I think it's far too difficult not to start Etienne and Olave here, to which then it becomes a matter of am I playing Evans or Higgins, and I think I'd rather play Evans here. So Evans, Etienne, and Olave are going to be the guys I roll with. Sebastian Alex, what's up? Says lineup. We have Jalen Hurts, Jahmyr Gibbs, Quinshon Judkins, Drake London, Devontae Smith, Colston Loveland, Mike Evans, Pinheiro, and the Texans defense. We have Harvey, Estime, Bills, Saints, DK, and Waller. Any changes? I think there's only maybe one change in which I would suggest. I think that's Harvey should absolutely be playing over Judkins. I know Judkins has a great matchup against the Bills. I just don't trust where Judkins has been over the course of the last 2 months here in terms of production and effectiveness to be able to blindly trust him over one of the better offenses in the league, who have subsequently given RJ Harvey the entire workload of the backfield of late, and he has been highly valuable for fantasy purposes. So I'll take Harvey there over Judkins. In the event in which you have a situation where London is not available this week, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, he's not available, you would move Evans to wide receiver, and then in the flex position, you would end up playing Estime there. Thank you. Leo sends out a question, says PPR, need a wide receiver and a flex between Marvin Harrison, DJ Moore, Michael Carter, and Waddle. I'm not going to play Waddle here. I think it's between these three options. In a full PPR scoring format, I genuinely would feel most comfortable rolling DJ Moore and Marvin Harrison out of the available options here. Thank you. Big Dog Pound sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Says happy holidays. Happy holidays to you as well. Says start one running back, one wide receiver, two flex in a full PPR. We have Dowdle, McLaurin, Moore, Henderson, Pollard, Jalen Warren, and Diggs and Aaron Jones. Okay, so if we're looking at the available RBs here, Travion Henderson's got to be in my starting lineup. That's a given. So he's already my RB1. If I'm looking at the available wide receivers you have at your disposal, I feel like it's either a, let me see here. Where do I have McLaurin compared to DJ Moore now that we've adjusted this accordingly? As of right now, I'd still probably go McLaurin there at wide receiver 1. And then when I look at the flex position of available options, I don't want to play Jalen Warren. I don't want to play Stephon Diggs. I think if I'm in your position, I probably end up rolling Dowdle and Pollard. So it probably ends up being like a Henderson, Pollard, Dowdle, Moore, McLaurin combination. Moore is the odd man out. I'm considering playing him, but I think I'd feel more comfortable rolling with Dowdle, Henderson, Pollard, and McLaurin in this case. Thank you, Big Dog Pound. Appreciate it. Gerardo Rodriguez says, hey, I played versus Puka yesterday, so I need some ceiling because I'm almost out. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Christian McCaffrey, Emmanuel Wilson, Bucky Irving, Hunter, I'm assuming that's Derrick Henry, London, Jamo, CD, Wilson, Brissett, or Goff. Okay, so got a lot of available options here, a lot of very much so valuable players that could be contributing. My only question is how many running backs, wide receivers, and flex can we play? So in this circumstance, I'm probably going Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry as my 1-2 RB combo. When I look towards wide receiver, I have to play Jameson Williams and CeeDee Lamb. In the event in which I'm starting a quarterback, I'll play Brissett there. If I need to look towards a potential flex option and I can only play one of them, in the event in which Josh Jacobs is out tomorrow night, I would genuinely play Emmanuel Wilson. Otherwise, if Josh Jacobs is in, I think my decision probably ends up being Michael Wilson as the start. Thank you. If you could play two flex options, then Wilson will be your 1-2. Otherwise, if Josh Jacobs is in, it would end up being it would be Michael Wilson alongside of Drake London as my 1-2 combo, assuming he's even available because, again, earlier today, he was a DNP, did not participate in practice. So if it's a double flex, maybe Wilson and Bucky end up being that 1-2 combo. Thank you. Joe Gatlin sends in a question. Joe, thank you. Says standard scoring league pick 2 for the flex. We have Estimate, Carter, Goddard, Pitts, and Michael Wilson. So Pitts is still up in the air because of the Drake London status still being unknown as of this moment. Again, he could end up playing this weekend. In the event in which he does, at that point, I feel pretty comfortable as Michael Wilson as my number 1 and Goddard as my number 2 here. Oh, this is a standard scoring. Yeah, I would go Michael Wilson and Goddard there. In the event in which Drake London is out, I go Pitts and Wilson. Thank you. Says I'm nervous about starting 2 Cardinals. No, I understand that, but yeah, I wouldn't even go about starting 2 Cardinals if it was a standard format. I'd go with Goddard and Wilson just chasing touchdowns there. Says Jacobs is a bit banged up. I do have Emmanuel, but my DP is also out. Thanks, Andrew. What the heck does that even mean, brother? So in the case in which we have the opportunity to where if let's say you have Jacobs and obviously you make the swap, if you don't have Jacobs here and you have Emmanuel Wilson, but you don't have Josh Jacobs and Josh Jacobs doesn't play tomorrow, Emmanuel Wilson is the number 1 option out of everyone here. And then Michael Wilson will be 2. then Goddard will be 3. Pitts technically would be 3 if London is out. And then after all that would be Carter and an Estime. Thank you. All right, continuing on. Andrew Clark, 6618. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Says JJ McCarthy or Minshew. I'm going to go JJ McCarthy there pretty confidently. As for Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel, Wanda Robinson, Jacoby Myers, DJ Moore, we have Loveland, Harvey, Chase Brown, Buka, Pearsall. Pick 3 wide receivers, 1 running back, and 1 flex. Schultz or Strange. I'll go Schultz over Strange. As for wide receiver, I think your primary option should be Terry McLaurin 1, DJ Moore number 2, and Jacoby Myers number 3. Then looking at the potential of your running backs here, Chase Brown has to start, and Harvey has to be the flex. Thank you. Adrian Sanchez sends it a question. Says, should I bench Woody Marks for Aaron Jones? If Woody Marks is active on Sunday, I'd rather have him than Aaron Jones. Says, Mark's status is kind of worries me. Also, do you think I should still start Waddle over players like Reed or Estime? No, I wouldn't play Waddle over Estime. I would play Reed here if Christian Watson's out. Otherwise, I do believe that Estime is the appropriate play over Waddle as of this week. Would I ever consider playing Jones over Marks? I don't mind it because you would be theoretically just trying to dodge any sort of re-injury potential for Woody Marks in the event in which he got injured again and then leaves the game. That's the only concern I have. Otherwise, if he's at a full capacity against the Raiders, I'd much rather have him than Jones. Stony and Bear sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says, I played versus Puka. I need some upside in a full PPR. Start the Broncos or the Saints defense? Let me check where I have them ranked accordingly, and then I'll let you know. So as of this week, I have the Saints as my number 3 defense, and I have the Broncos as my number 6 defense. So I don't mind the idea of rolling in the direction of the Saints there. If you want to play the Broncos, I don't have an issue with it, but I do prefer the Saints. As for your next question, flex 2 between Reed, Myers, Emmanuel Wilson, Strange, and Franklin. I believe that Emmanuel Wilson can only be started if Josh Jacobs is out. If he is, he's your number 1, and you would probably pair him up with Reed only if Christian Watson's out. Then, in the event in which Jacobs is in and Watson is in, then at that point, I probably end up rolling double wide receiver and just going Myers and Franklin. Yeah, that's probably the way I go about it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Catacomb Kid, what's up, brother? Says, questions in the chat. Thanks for it all. Thank you very much. Thanks for all that you do, man. No problem. I'm glad to help in any way. Catacomb says, set my lineup in a half PPR. We have Christian McCaffrey, Omarion Hampton, Sutton, Harvey, Wilson, Mike Evans, Jay Allen, Houston's defense. Okay, we have Vidal, Aubrey, Michael Carter, already played Parkinson, sad face. Really just need to know who I'm flexing. Yeah, because at this point, I think you know who you're starting at RB. Like Christian McCaffrey and Harvey will be the 1-2. Cortland Sutton, Mike Evans will be your wide receiver 1 and 2. Michael Wilson ends up being your flex. Josh Allen's your quarterback. Houston's defense. Aubrey's your kicker. Yeah, I think Michael Wilson is your flex here because you're starting McCaffrey, Harvey, Sutton, and Evans. Thank you. Appreciate it, Catacomb. All right, Dose sends in a question. Says, questions in the chat. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Whenever you get an opportunity, go ahead and type that in. Jerome Hill sends in a question. Says, Rice is out. Do I play Diggs, Sutton, or Brian Thomas? I would play Sutton there. I think Sutton is the most appropriate play of the bunch. Coming off of back-to-back weeks of double-digit targets, very much so a valuable proposition there in comparison to these alternative options who just don't see as much target opportunity. On top of the fact that BTJ is going to have himself a tough time against that secondary, and Stephon Diggs, again, has been a little bit of a no-show of late. I think Cortland Sutton has to be your start there, Jerome. Thank you. Dose, anything from you? No? Okay. So we've been here live streaming on the channel for about, I want to say 30 minutes now. About 36 minutes. Again, today's live stream is going to be a relatively short one because, again, I'm going to be back tomorrow starting at noon PST. Prior to the game, about 2 hours, I'll be answering questions over the course of that span of time like we do every Saturday. But the only difference is that there are Saturday games tomorrow. So, of course, I'll be back tomorrow answering questions. I'll, of course, be back again, once again, on Sunday morning answering questions starting at 7 a.m. PST. We had Roy Shaver come in with an incredibly generous super chat. Thank you very much, Roy. Says Tyler Warren, Jaden Reed, Jerry Jeudy, Keenan Allen, Kelsey, Jaden Higgins, Strange. Pick one. It's easy. I'm playing Kelsey. It's no question about it. Travis Kelsey is your best play. It says in a half PPR, I missed the playoffs by 1 win in one league, and I'm the number 1 seed in the other league. Happy holidays, go Rams. Yeah, the Rams not winning last night. It's a little bit of a tough situation there, but it's a very competitive NFC West, to say the very least. But of your available options, Travis Kelce's got to be the guy. I don't think anybody else even stacks up close to him in terms of potential with Gardner Minshew there under center. Thank you. All right, let me go ahead and let me hop into the live chat, answer a couple questions here, and then we'll continue on. Alfredo says Discord, please. Okay, Alfredo, let me see what you end up sending me. Let's see here. You sent me 2 pictures. I'm gonna go ahead and check those out right now. Give me a moment to check that out. All right, Freddie, what'd you have here, brother? It says I need 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and 1 flex. If Jacobs is out, what is my lineup? Yes, I know I'm screwed. I screwed up mentioning K9. What did you end up playing over? No, I mean, I don't think you messed up. I mean, again, when you have guys like Buck Irving and James Cook, typically you end up playing what you did. So I'm not even bugged by that. Kenneth Walker had a generational game after like 3 weeks in a row of 3 points. So no worries. Josh Allen, James Cook, Buck Irving, Mike Evans, DJ Moore, Puka Nacua, Travis Kelce, Michael Wilson. Yeah, I don't make any changes. Your lineup is set to go. In the event in which Josh Jacobs is in fact out, then at that point I would be willing to, I'd move Michael Wilson over DJ Moore and I would play Emmanuel Wilson in your flex. That's how I'd go about it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Let me go ahead and let me pop back open the live stream chat. A couple more super chats were sent in. We had Bench, who sends in a question. Thank you very much, Ben. I think it's Ben. It's not Bench. It's Ben Chesler. Thank you very much, Ben. Full PPR, 80 Mitchell or Jaden Reed. As of right now, I'd go 80 Mitchell. The only time I'd ever go Jaden Reed in this circumstance is if Christian Watson was out. Thank you. Kevin Bennett sends in a question, says, should I start Lamar or Herbert? I'd prefer to play Lamar. I think Herbert, there is a conversation to be had in which he could dice up this Cowboys defense. I just don't know if I can trust the offensive line to get it done. So for right now, I'll lean towards Lamar to get that matchup to be a higher scoring one. Thank you. Let's see here. Waddle or Diggs? I'd prefer... Oh, wow, that's an interesting one. At that point, I'd... Oh, man. Can I plead the 5th? Sheesh. Look, here's the issue with Waddle. Besides the fact that he has a backup third-string quarterback, he also has the Cincinnati Bengals secondary, which is not an easy matchup. I think for now, I'd probably just lean towards Waddle in hopes that the offensive, genius of Mike McDaniel can get some looks in his direction. But, man, it's going to be tough. For right now, I'd stay Waddle still. But, man, it's tough. Austin, what's up, brother? Says, chat, start 2 in a tight end premium PPR. We have Pickens, Olave, Fannin, and Williams. I'm already started Amon-Ra. Yeah, look, even in the tight end premium, I think you're more equipped to start guys like Pickens and Olave in this circumstance here. Doe sends in a question, says also, okay, let me actually look at all of your question here in its entirety. So it says full PPR. Okay, let me pull this open. Here we go. Full PPR, I need 1 wide receiver, 2 flex. We have Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison, Keenan Allen, Dalton Kincaid, Mark Andrews, Sat K9, and it hurts. So in this circumstance, I think Marvin Harrison and Michael Wilson both need to play. So one would be your starting wide receiver and one would be your flex. Says I also have Jaden Reed on my bench. In the event in which, oh, you know what? Yeah, that's an interesting case right here. I think in this circumstance, I'm assuming that Quentin Johnston plays, to which I think Keenan Allen's value diminishes. I'd play Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison, and then Jaden Reed. Those would be the 3 that I'd roll with. I'd prefer to play them over Kincaid, Andrews, and Keenan Allen this week. Thank you. All right, we had a question that came in from JV. Says, to my last question, would you start Emmanuel Wilson if Jacobs is out? Let's see here. Yeah, in the event in which you had Emmanuel Wilson and Jacobs is out, I would play him over Tet, Judkins, and Waddle 10 times out of 10. Thank you. Hawkinson or Loveland? I prefer Loveland, especially with Rome Odunze and Luther Burden out. Full PPR flex, Tyler Warren, 80 Mitchell, Mike Gesicki. I think 80 Mitchell has to be your start there. I started Stafford yesterday, put him in 5 minutes before the game time. And congratulations, Gerardo. That is a clutch decision, brother. Also have, okay, we're going to take care of that. How would you rank these tight ends? Let's see what you have here, Gerardo. I don't see a list of tight ends. Whenever you get an opportunity, type that in, brother. Let's see here. Half PPR flex, Jalen Warren, estimate, or Waddle. Or Wandell, excuse me. In this case, I probably just... Oh, man. I think I want to play estimate in this case. I think Jalen Warren is kind of like the safe play in hopes that he falls into the end zone, but I feel like estimate is the preferred. I feel like Diggs will shine on Sunday night, though. The world is watching. Brother, if that was the biggest difference maker and he could do that because the lights are on and the game is on prime time, then beautiful. But I don't know if I can take that into account as like a determining factor as to whether I play him. Chris J sends in a question, says full PPR, best order, McConkey, Pittman, Swift, and Diggs. Yeah, the order in which I would go about it, Swift 1, McConkey 2, Diggs 3, Pittman 4. Thank you. Cisco, what's up? Says help me pick 2, bench 1, Waddle, Pittman, Coker. I would play Waddle, and I would probably play Coker alongside of him. Thank you. Drewski sends in a question, says starting Brissett, James Cook, Etienne, CeeDee Lamb, Jawan Jennings, McBride, and Rico. Bench consisting of Dart, Emmanuel Wilson, Michael Carter, BTJ, and McLaurin. Any lineup changes I should make? No, I wouldn't make a lineup change. The only thing that would ever create a potential change for tomorrow is in the event in which Josh Jacobs is active, I would play Emmanuel Wilson over Rico Dowdle. That's the only thing in which I would change there, brother. Thank you. Daniel Barnes says full PPR, Emmanuel Wilson or Hampton. If there's no Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson is a top 10 running back in my rankings tomorrow. Mark my words, you'll see it in tomorrow's rankings. Thank you. Gerardo says I have T. Higgins, Chris Olave, Tedero McMillan, Genty, Jacobs, Michael Carter, and Rico. I need top 5 plus. Okay, so let's figure out the top 5 first and foremost. If Jacobs is active, he plays. And then I'm playing also Rico. And then I'm playing all 3 of these receivers. So I go Jacobs, Rico, T. Higgins, Olave, McMillan. In the event in which Jacobs is inactive, then I would play Michael Carter in his stead. Thank you. Then it says I need a tight end between Kincaid, Henry, and Gadsden. I don't know if Kincaid is healthy. Let me see here. Based on, yeah, he got a full participation of practice today, so I think he'll probably be active. Do I trust him over Henry and Gadsden? Yes, I would play Kincaid over Henry and Gadsden there. So Kincaid will be my suggestion of those availables. Thank you. Kevin Smith sends in a question. Kevin, actually, you know what? Gadsden could be an absolute dynamite play too, because the Cowboys run just primary zone coverage, and Gadsden's been really good against zone. I don't know. I got to think about that one, Gerardo. I'm going to go a little bit back and forth on it because my concern with Kincaid is health. And if he potentially re-aggravates anything, that could be a problem. I had him not ranked on Thursday because I didn't know his status. Now that I know that he's full participant, I don't know. That's going to be a tough one. It's either Gadsden or Kincaid, though. That's for sure. I got to think about it. I'll probably have rankings by tomorrow. Kevin Smith says, sup, full PPR, please rank Hampton, Judkins, Warren, Jennings, and Pitts. Yeah, beautiful. As of right now, under the assumption that Drake London plays, the order would be Jennings 1, Pitts 2, Hampton 3, Judkins 4, Warren 5. In the event in which London is not playing, right? Did I say if he's playing? If he's playing, we go... I think I said if he's not playing, we go Jennings 1, Pitts 2. If, in fact, London is not playing, Pitts will be 1, then Jennings will be 2, and then it's the same order for the rest of the way. Thank you. Purdy or Brissett, I think they're both fantastic. Really just whoever you want to carry your team, do it. Play them, because honestly, I think they're both going to be incredible. I have Purdy ranked higher, though, by 1 spot. Fairbairn or Dicker, I would prefer to play Kaimi Fairbairn there. Also, I need a flex between Reed, Evans, and Pitts. I'd only play Pitts if London is out. Otherwise, Evans is your starter. Thank you. Adam sends in a question. Says, I made a massive mistake starting Parkinson over Fannin. I have Cook, Henderson, Etienne as flex if Josh Jacobs doesn't play. Should Emmanuel replace any of them? And what defense is the best between Dallas, Detroit, Tennessee, Atlanta, 49ers, and Miami? Okay, so let's figure out, in the event in which we have Josh Jacobs inactive, I would feel, okay, so James Cook has to play, and I think Etienne is probably in his back pocket as well. So I probably go Cook, Etienne, and Emmanuel Wilson as my top 3 there in the event in which Jacobs is out. Then we look towards the potential of these defenses. Dallas, Detroit, Tennessee. Tennessee will be my highest ranked defense out of those available. Brissett or May in a 4-point. I have May ranked higher. I don't know if I change that. I think I keep it as is. Loveland or Bowers, I'll still stick with Bowers there. It's tough, though, because, again, the Raiders are going to get smoked on. So we just have to hope that Bowers can catch the ball pretty good volume at times. In another league, do I start DJ Moore over Tedoroa? I would. I don't mind that at all. That works with me. Aaron Jones worth a play this week or estimate at the flex if Woody is out? I think I'd rather play Aaron Jones than estimate. I'm pretty confident in that. Dose says PPR, tight end, Pitts or Bowers? I'd rather play Pitts. Flex, Devontae, DK, Pitts, Bowers. I probably end up going DK Metcalf there. Unless London is out, I go Pitts. Thank you. If Jacobs is out, would you start at the flex, Emmanuel Wilson or Kenneth Gainwell? Emmanuel Wilson would start. Tight end Loveland, Kincaid, or Andrews. Loveland has to play there. Start 2 between Marks, Swift, Stevenson, Pollard. I'd go with Marks and Pollard if Marks is healthy, but I don't even know if Marks is going to be healthy. So if actually, you know what? Because Swift plays tomorrow, you have to play Swift. So probably go Swift and Pollard. Yeah, that's probably the way we probably have to do it. Charlene says pick 4 in a full PPR: Nico, Evans, McLaurin, Watson, Reed, Jacoby, and Keenan Allen. Nico, Evans, McLaurin, and Reed. Or sorry, McLaurin and Watson. Your top 4 names here are your top 4 options. Thank you. All right, we're going to answer a couple more super chat questions that have come in here, and then we're probably going to head out. I do appreciate y'all. I've got people to see, places to be, and I'll be back, of course, tomorrow, starting at around noon PST for 2 hours live streaming here on the channel. Thank you very much. Montoya Vision says, Drew, semifinals, full PPR. I need a quarterback. We have Herbert or Brissett. I'll go Brissett there. Tight end, Juwan Johnson or Loveland. Got to play Loveland there. 3 wide receivers, flex, Jefferson, Evans, Higgins, Sutton, Metcalf, Bucky. In the flex position, I would play Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, and Cortland Sutton. And then I probably need to add one more, to which at that case, it probably ends up being Higgins. So Evans, Higgins, Sutton, Bucky. Thank you. Adrian Sanchez says, starting May, CMC, Marks, Nico, Waddle, Goddard, flexes Sutton and Estime. My bench consists of Genty, Jones Jr., Diggs. Should I change anything? I probably, man. No, I'm not playing Genty. I refuse to. I think I'm playing Aaron Jones, though, over Estime. That's the only change in which I make. Thank you. In the event in which Woody Marks is not available, then you play Jones over Marks, and then you play Estime in the flex still. Thank you. FZ Ware, what's up, brother? Says Higgins, Abuka, Reed, Warren, Gainwell, Estime. Need a running back, wide receiver, and flex in a half PPR. The running back play out of this group is for sure going to be Kenneth Gainwell. At wide receiver, I'm playing Higgins, and in the flex, I'm going to play Emeka Abuka. Thank you. Big Verge sends in a question. Says, who do I start if Jacobs doesn't play, or do I go away from him for another option if he does go? I play JSN, roster, excuse me, not rest of season, roster. Bijan, Jacobs, Hendo, Tracy, Estime, Tetaroa, Evans, BTJ, Reed, Slayton, Godwin. Look, I think what you want to play in terms of a double running back, double wide receiver, one flex format is you want to end up playing Bijan, Jacobs, and then you have JSN starting a wide receiver alongside of Evans, and then we want to flex Henderson. If we had the ability to play another player in the flex, it would be Tracy. Thank you. Roy Shaver sends in a question, says, pick 2.5 PPR, Genty, Monungai, Rodriguez, Montgomery. Left Walker on the bench. So if we're going to have to play one of these options, which obviously these are rough, I think your 2 best options, theoretically speaking, are Monungai and Montgomery, genuinely. I don't really want to play Genty. If you want to play him, you can. I don't want to play Rodriguez either. I think both those teams get blown out the water, and in the absence of being able to move the ball, they're going to be not running the ball very much in the second half, to which it scares the crap out of me. So I'm going Monungai and Montgomery. Jay Koziar sends in a question. Says, in a 12-team PPR, pick 3 wide receivers, double running back, 1 flex. We have Abuka, Higgins, McMillan, McLaurin, Achane, McCaffrey, Henderson. I have to play Achane, McCaffrey, Henderson. Those are my 2 running backs in flex. So pretty much becomes a conversation of who am I playing at wide receiver. And in this circumstance, I'll play T. Higgins, I'll play Tedero McMillan, and McLaurin. So Abuka is my odd man out in this circumstance. Thank you. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all coming through today. Again, I will be adjusting rankings ever so slightly based on the information that develops tomorrow prior to the stream in regards to some player injuries and all that kind of jazz. So hopefully you guys can swing on by back tomorrow. I may in fact put up rankings on screen if that is easier in terms of top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 12 kickers, defenses, and top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends, so that those rankings can help you guys out, come in quickly and get your questions answered and then go. So hopefully I can see you guys by tomorrow, noon to 2 p.m. PST. I'll be here on the channel answering questions. Appreciate it. Of course, I will be back Sunday morning if I'm not able to answer your question by tomorrow. Jay Koziar sends in a follow-up question, says Chiefs or Titans defense. I'd prefer to play the Chiefs defense this week. Thank you. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cue the music. Have a great rest of your Friday night. I'll see y'all tomorrow, hopefully. And until next time, enjoy the double helix and best of luck for this upcoming weekend. I'll see you guys. Peace.